Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. And we are going to focus on the one big act that is a telling blow on Hindu astha and faith, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, an outright insult of the Lord Venkatesha and his devotees at the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam. But the larger question is this perhaps just the tipping point? Is this just the tip of the entire gamut of aspects that have dented Hindu astha over the last several decades, if not more? And is it high time that we reclaim our temples? Joining us is J. Sai Deepak, lawyer and a very, very ardent advocate of the need to free Hindu temples from state control. Sai Deepak, your first reaction on what's happened at Tirupati?
Frankly, I have multiple reactions because I don't know where to begin. One, I think in 1857, a revolt was sparked by the use of, let's say, cow fat, so to speak, in a weapon. And today we are looking at a situation where the incipient reactions from the Hindu community to beef and tallow and fish oil being offered to a deity doesn't inspire the same kind of reactions. And I'm sorry, when I say reactions, it can't be just a social media outrage. I would say at the very least, Hindus should hit the streets peacefully. That is the least that I can expect. And if you don't do that, there is absolutely no pressure on anyone, because I'm sorry to say I have very little faith in any political stakeholder, because most of them will use it only to score brownie points. Okay. Will this lead to a long-term change or reaction in terms of addressing the central issues in question? Most importantly, at least as far as the state of Andhra Pradesh is concerned, will this lead to action being taken on the missionary nexus that has been ruining the state at least since 2004, ever since Rajshekar Reddy took over? And it has only worsened under Jagan Reddy and his sister Sharmila, even worse. So these are the central questions. I'm not going to for a moment play down the sacrilege and the desecration that's been committed on the deity, on the temple, on the believers, on the faith system as a whole. That is certainly one issue. But why did it happen? What are the underlying causes? What are the triggers? That is something that we need to focus on. Okay? For at least 20 years, or even more systematically, there has been a rapid demographic change in Andhra Pradesh, that is even including undivided Andhra Pradesh, prior to its bifurcation. Okay? And subsequently, it has only worsened to the extent that if you go to any of the coastal districts of Andhra Pradesh, you will find on any given day, not necessarily a Sunday, on any given day, you will find rent-a-cars, freelance pastors and missionaries roaming the streets with speakers on cycles or in autos, asking Hindus to convert. Okay, this has been going on. So this is not as if this is happening in some foreign land. This is happening in the heartland of the south. And Andhra Pradesh, for all practical purposes, is named after two different deities. So one is, of course, the word Telugu itself comes from Trilinga Desha, okay, because of the Shiva Kshetrams which are actually present there.
Yes.
And it has the Pancharama Kshetras there, okay, where there are at least 5 temples which are dedicated to Lord Ram because of his visit to that place. Okay, Bhadrachalam being one of the foremost examples. Okay, in such a state, with its deep commitment to Hinduism, with its huge commitment to Sanatana Dharma, and a rich history of having produced stalwarts of Hinduism, including, for that matter, I would say, Tyagaraja and others. Of course, Tyagaraja comes from the Tanjore side of the south. With this kind of a commitment, imagine what they are going through. And the worst part is, people on the ground have been saying this at least for the last 10 years, that there is something seriously afoot, to the extent that even Bharat Mata statues which are placed in those parts of coastal Andhra, where there is a huge change in demographic, let's say, balance, they've been desecrated, they've been broken. We are not even looking at a Hindu deity, you're looking at Bharat Mata. That is supposed to be, at the very least, as secular as it can get in terms of deities and the pantheon of deities. Even that is not acceptable in certain places.
How do we address it? How do we reclaim temples? How do we repose or restore the faith in Hindu astha? Somewhere you can't just blame those who have an agenda to destroy Hinduism or to convert people from Hinduism to their respective faith. The blame has to also lie within the Hindu Samaj itself, J. Sai Deepak.
I don't blame them whatsoever, because I expect this behavior from them. Historically, this is how they have behaved. I blame those people who continue to believe that everybody behaves equally, everybody respects every religion equally. Sorry, as far as Hindu Dharma is concerned, it is never treated equally. It doesn't get the same respect from others. That's a fact. Okay, two. Therefore, the question is, what are the different levels at which you wish to address the problem? One is the societal level, and one is the political level, and the other is the religious level. As far as the political level is concerned, I think for the first time we saw some tightening of screws in the on the FCRA legislation, which made it slightly difficult for foreign funds, especially proselytization finance, that was coming into this country radically. But trust me when I say this, it has not fully addressed the problem. I know for a fact how many Hawala channels are being used to route the very same money which couldn't come through, let's say, legitimate channels in the past. A lot of people who supposedly protect Hindu Dharma are on the payroll of these Hawala channels in several states, which makes it possible for these evangelicals to get away with it. There are any number of instances, and you can ask ground workers in Andhra Pradesh and even in Hyderabad for that matter, where there are individual freelance missionaries who are sitting on a cash pile of anywhere between 800 to 1,000 crores per head.
My God.
That's the kind of money that you're looking at in individual scale. Then look at, let's say, the evangelical organizations who are committed to winning Bharat for Jesus. That's how they operate. Okay, any number of institutions. Okay, so one, in terms of the political step, what is it that you can do legally to tighten the screws further? Second, anti-conversion laws really need to be brought back to the table, and you need to start talking about them seriously. If you're serious about preserving the civilizational identity of this land, it can't be just another conversation where two parties take pot shots at each other and then the rest of the society also joins in it without asking, what is this supposed to lead to? What are the long-term changes should we be looking at? Three, coming to the specific microcosmic question of addressing state control of temples. I call it microcosmic because frankly, it is just one part of the problem. Okay? You should seriously ask yourself a question. Are you more concerned about the behavior of the other side or the lack of reactions from the Hindu side? What bothers you more and what affects you more?
The latter.
Which is
lack of reaction.
Lack of reactions, right? When you have people who justify beef eating in the name of God knows what not, when there are quite a few people who call themselves Hindutva elites who also justify beef eating, and they suddenly selectively outrage at this particular moment because they believe that this is the way to get traction, this is the way I endear myself to a particular section of the society, there is rank opportunism even within these so-called circles, where the same issue acquires different hues depending on public moods and the let's say the social media outlet cycle. When they know for a fact that the society is going to outrage at this, then the very same beef eaters will suddenly say this is wrong. The fact that their personal conduct and the way they throw their beef eating or their beef consumption or rub it on the faces of Hindus doesn't suddenly matter to them anymore, because now they want to join this bandwagon. See, there are some non-negotiables that the Hindu society must agree upon. And it must decide that these are red lines that we will not let anyone cross. Anyone who speaks in the name of Hindu Dharma or claims to protect Hindu Dharma, either at the political level or the social level or whichever level. Okay, those questions have to be answered. Three, on this subject, it's very easy to make this, let's say, politically partisan by saying this party is good, that party is good. The simple question we must ask is, regardless of who's stayed in power or who's been in power, has it brought about a change to the central question of freedom of temples from state control? You should simply ask this question, because it shouldn't become a convenient stick to beat a particular party within a given state, when I don't give two hoots about any party when the question is of Hindu security.
Correct.
Okay. Second, my ideological leanings as well as who I would ultimately vote for, I think has been out in public domain for at least the last 8 to 10 years. So I really don't need to hide anything about it. Therefore, consequently, my expectations are from those organizations and parties, both national and regional, who I believe come closest to meeting my expectations of Hindu security, Hindutva security. Okay. Now, unfortunately, when you air any of these concerns, I don't think even the organizations take umbrage to it. They actually listen to it. I know this at least from people who have their ears peeled to the ground. But you have a lot of loyalist voices in social media who make an attempt to stifle genuine feedback or even genuine criticism. Why not criticism?
The attempt to bring it down to, after all, it may be 4 or 5 tankers. There is no, and it's nothing but politics, because TDP wants to settle scores with YSRCP and vice versa. So it's nothing but politics. And 4 tankers, why make such a big deal about 4 tankers? And we don't even know whether those 4 tankers, it's actual samples, etc., etc.
Correct. See, and let's also ask ourselves a larger question. Are you telling me that people in the political arena were not aware of the changing demographic balance over the last 10, 15 years, both at the national level and at the state level? How many people actually bothered to act on it? And if you call yourself the guardian of Hindutva interest and Hindu interest, wouldn't you want to address that problem, or would you want to actually find a way of politically aligning yourself with someone who is not just actively invested in undercutting your societal roots, but who's also going to pose trouble for you politically speaking? Because frankly speaking, if this doesn't remain a Hindu majority country anymore, or even a Hindu majority state in different parts of the country, there is no question of any Hindutva party coming back to power. Kashmir is the best possible example. Okay, or even the Northeast is perhaps another example. Or West Bengal at this point is best possible example. In Assam, you're surviving simply because of the delimitation game being played.
Yeah.
But once the demographic imbalance outpaces even delimitation, there's nothing that you can do, right? So if looking at it from a political perspective, also there's a very clear incentive to act on each of these issues. I have no problems making the statement.
Right.
Let me also say bluntly, I don't think there is only one organization that represents Hindu interests across the country, because I know for a fact that at state level, there are different parties who are protecting that interest in different ways.
Correct.
You ask anyone, at least in Andhra Pradesh, they'll tell you, as on date, the pro-Hindu voice, at least the most pro-Hindu voice in Andhra Pradesh, is Pawan Kalyan.
Well, fair point made. And my final question to you. Let's say this sample was taken on the 12th of July, it was submitted on the 17th, and the report came out on 23rd. So let's say 11 days. Let it also, for the benefit of doubt of those who are claiming these are 4 containers and it's only the month of July, for 23 days, 3 lakh laddoos per day, you can do the math, and we know that there should be nearly at least 65 to 70 lakh people who should be outraged, umbraged and absolutely worried whether or not they have actually had these kind of laddoos. But are about 1 crore of people outraging? There are others who are worried that even for the prasadam for Ram Mandir, was it contaminated? We don't even know.
I really don't care for how many days it has happened, because this is not a question of the extent of the problem. This is a question of the intent behind the problem. Okay? And the guts that and the audacity that somebody had, that he could get away with it, with perhaps the largest Hindu temple in the world, and perhaps among the most well-known Hindu temples in the world. Okay, so for you to think that I can actually get away with it is not because you think, it's actually because you know for a fact there may not be too much of reaction, and even if there's a reaction, surely it's not going to be a Sartan Se Juda reaction. You know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Okay, and therefore, you know for a fact that the quality of reaction or the kind of reaction will change from community to community, which automatically emboldens quite a few people.
So tolerance is not a virtue but a weakness here then?
I'm sure that quite a few people are saying, is he asking us to hit the streets violently? I said this at the outset. No. But your reactions must at least create some kind of deterrence legally. At least do that. And make sure that such people are never brought back to power. Make sure that such people starve for funds. Make sure that such people do not have any access to economic opportunities when you know for a fact that they don't mean well for you. And whoever they may be, I make no exception. I mean this of people who are Hindus in name only, but who constantly act against Hindu interest. So because at the end of the day, there are quite a few people who may have Hindu names, but whose belief systems and who operate can be completely at loggerheads with Hindu interests. I know quite a few communists debates who appear on primetime television on a daily basis who spew venom at Hindus. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is not limited to one particular identity. And I've always said this, I'll simply quote Savarkar here. I think the problem in the Hindu community is its primary enemy comes from the Hindu community, comes from within the Hindu community.
Sai Deepak, candid as ever, and you're calling a spade a spade. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time.
Namaste. Jai Shri Ram.
Namaste. That was J. Sai Deepak, ladies and gentlemen, and he quoted Savarkar. Interesting fact and analogy, and many historians have also noted it, that the doors to all our forts and temples opened from the inside and inward. So somebody from within always opened them and allowed the invaders to come in. That's what their thing is. So that's why J. Sai Deepak making that point and quoting Savarkar there again. But then an affront to Hindu Astha, the most sacred, perhaps the most revered of destinations, most popular globally, the Tirupati Devasthanam, the seat of Lord Venkateshwara in Tirupati. The Laddoo offered to Lord Venkateshwara, worshipped as a form of Lord Vishnu for more than 300 years now, at least documented, if not more. The holy sanctum of the temple, and then offered as prasadam to devotees. That's the Laddoo. has been found adulterated. Now, if this is not a cardinal sin, then what is? The faith of lakhs of devotees stand trampled today. And in an exclusive here on the right stand, we have accessed. Yesterday, we showed you the lab test reports. These are the two lab test reports. Now, today, we've got in our hand the tender document, and I will come to this tender document in just a bit. Now, what does it say? We'll get to the details in a bit. I'll show that to you. We show you the former YSRCP government flouting a tender clause of the TTD. As per clause 81 of the tender document for the ghee procurement, the Tirupati Trust Board is entitled to send the samples for testing to an external laboratory. The previous government perhaps did not enforce this clause, and therefore substandard ghee perhaps was procured. When the new government headed by Chandrababu Naidu was sworn in, the same clause was properly enforced, and hence the adulteration was detected. The consignment was thereafter rejected, and the vendor was then blacklisted. Let's try and understand this document. Let's have a look at it. Yeah, the camera is right above. Now, this is the Tirupati Devasthanam Marketing Department, TTD Tirupati, tender come reverse auctioning, reverse tendering, procurement of 10 lakh kgs of cow ghee with Agmark special grade through tankers from dairies, ghee plants, plants situated within 1500 kilometers from Tirumala for a period of 6 months. So, this is the tender. What I'm going to do is, this is about 28 pages, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go across, post the annexures to some of the clauses, and it comes to clause number 81. And this is somewhere around page number 21, 22 that we see this. Now, this is clause number 80 and 81. Let's try and read this. The supplier shall also submit a certificate of analysis for each consignment from an NABL accredited or FSSAI approved laboratory to TTD that the product supplied to TTD complies with the TTD, FSSAI and Agmark for special grade specifications of ghee. Then, next point, the analytical report for ghee given by the Food and Water Laboratory of TTD in-house and or the report given by an outsourced laboratory to which TTD sends the samples is binding on the supplier. The supplier has claimed that they have an NABL accredited or FSSAI approved laboratory. But right now, non-compliance with respect to TTD, FSSR and Agmark special grade specifications will attract action as per the tender conditions of TTD. And again, they say the distance clause is very important. Only the dairies and ghee manufacturers situated within 1500 kilometers distance from Tirumala, Andhra Pradesh can only participate in these tenders. Anybody who's beyond this distance should be summarily rejected. So, some of the aspects, that is, this clause of 81, that there should be double testing, one internal and the other one external. Has this been brazenly flouted? Was this flouted? Was this not followed? And is that what caused this entire issue in the first place, ladies and gentlemen? That is something which is being questioned repeatedly. And further on, the tender conditions, if they were violated, did the previous government and the management under the previous government do these checks regularly? This time around, when the sample has been taken, it has been found wanting. There were 8 containers, 4 were being used, some were sent out, and that's where these samples have been taken. And the moment these samples were taken, this is what has been found. Let's go across to our guests. We are asking 2 or 3 important questions this evening on the right stand. What we are asking, ladies and gentlemen: 1, who are these people and how badly should they be punished and should they be brought to book? 2, why is there no public outrage? There's a lot of outraging on social media, but nearly 1 crore people, 1 crore devotees would have been fed these contaminated laddoos. Is the outrage there or not? What should be done? 3, as long as temples remain in state control, will we always have these kind of problems? Deepak Reddy, spokesperson of TDP, with us. Sujata Mahesh is back with us, leader YSRCP with us. Vineet Jindal, advocate, is with us. And Uma Anandan, leader of the Tamil Nadu BJP, with us. My namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Namaste. I'm going to start with Vineet Jindal. Vineet ji, Jai Sai Deepak said, let's explore legal options. We don't need to go all guns blazing with, weapons in our hand on the street shouting Sartan se juda, but there we have to go ahead and take some legal action. And you have moved legally on this. What is it that you have invoked or done?
I have filed a complaint with the Home Ministry and DG Andhra Pradesh along with DG UP Police, as the commemorated laddoos were sent to Ram Mandir temple also So the report has now opened. We all know what is the facts behind all these things. So I have filed a specific complaint in respect of the report and the contaminated Laddoo. It is not only about I have participated in certain debates, and it is a question there that it is only about the food adulteration or it is about something else. So yes, it is about something else. There are a bigger conspiracy. They are the people who are trying to outrage the Hindu sentiments. They are people who are always targeting Hindus. And by filing the complaint, I have mentioned why this issue is bigger than Food and Safety Act. Because the people are saying it is a complained thing, and the Laddoo has been used as a complained thing. But here, big issue was taken. Issues was taken. Beef oil,
Beef
and
tallow, lard,
beef
fish
oil,
oil.
yes. So yes, so fish oil. So these all three things has been segregated the sentiments of Hindus, the purity of the place where the people have been visited. There are crores of Hindus have been go there to worship their god. But what about their sentiments? What about
What kind of punishment or what kind of sections can be invoked as per the Nyaya Sanhita?
Yes, there are section 152, 192, 196, 298 and 353. Along with that, I have also request to impose NSA in this matter because this issue is bigger than the section which has been cited in BNS. It is about the public order. It is about to disturb the public order and targeting the crores of Hindus, crores of sentiments by virtue of this illegal act.
No, you have said you can invoke NSA. If NSA is not invoked, what is the maximum punishment that can be given to somebody who's
That is
found
5
guilty in
years.
this?
That is 5 years and 3 years. That's it. This is really ridiculous. In this, if it is we are talking about sections which cited here, that is I think that is not appropriate of this kind of act which is we have seen in Tirupati Mandir. So that is really shocking. That is really heartbreaking for me also. If we are talking about legal things, that is really heartbreaking and that is really ridiculous that the people who has been targeting Hindus, who are targeting the religion, go away with 3 or 5 year punishment.
So this entire aspect of doing things legally, getting punishment, is there going to be closure for an act like this? Sujata Mahesh, we had Jagan Mohan Reddy come out and issue a statement today earlier in the day where he said that no norms have been flouted. If there has been a violation, it's been at a local level. And he's also claimed that Chandrababu Naidu is actually politicizing this matter. Why does he say so?
Namaste. Very good evening. And this one, Chandrababu Naidu garu stated this on 18th of September, but this is certified on 12th of July. And what they are doing for 2 months, why they didn't reveal that immediately? That is one question. And here, Chandrababu Naidu garu in Andhra Pradesh, always he is doing diversing politics. And here, what we are doing is we are trying to protect the devotional feelings of the pilgrims of Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam, because everybody knows that worldwide there are crores and crores of pilgrims. They have very deep devotional feelings towards Tirumala, and it's very pride to Andhra Pradesh, as everybody knows that. Jagan Mohan Reddy garu is saying today that he said these quality checking, it's almost 6 rounds of quality check all the time. For every 6 months, it's going to be happened. It's a continuous procedures. It's a continuous practice in Tirumala.
What happens between those 6 months?
Devasthanam. And in the Jagan Mohan Reddy garu tenure, which is 19 to 24, Jagan Mohan Reddy garu, like the TTD committee, they run this quality check. And between that, there are 15 times that the quality check has been failed. And between 2014 to 2019, which is Chandrababu Naidu term, 18 times the quality quality check has been failed through the NBL, like National
NABL, you're saying.
Accreditation, yeah, NABL. So National Accreditation Board for Testing and Consolidation Registration. Through that board, the quality check is going to be happened for six times and 6 rounds.
So
And
you are
as well
saying
as-
you are
yeah,
saying
one-
that under Jagan Mohan Reddy and his administration there were far more stringent quality checks than what happened
Even
under
Chandrababu Naidu tenure. Even
uh,
Chandrababu Naidu tenure. I'm not saying that. Even Chandrababu Naidu tenure. Doesn't matter who is ruling, because the quality check was run by the Tirupati Devasthanam board members.
But the Devasthanam
and the
board, we are
committee
given to
chairman
understand,
also.
as per the
Because this is
tender
autonomous body.
conditions, ma'am,
We
for the
understand
6
this
months
is
contract.
autonomous body.
Sujata ji.
Yes.
As per the latest tender conditions, and we've got the tender document here, and this document says that there has to be testing.
Before that,
both,
I would like
ma'am,
to send you NBL document.
Ma'am, what I'm saying,
Before that,
please
I
hear
would
me.
like
You
to
send
give
me
you
the NABL document. Hear me out,
Yes.
ma'am. What I'm saying is, this tender document says that when testing happens, the internal TTD, that is the Food and Water Laboratory of TTD, that is in-house, plus and or the report given out by an outsourced laboratory is binding on the supplier. So both have to happen. So either you do both, or you do the outside laboratory testing that this sampling, this sample. So has this been done regularly, and was this done during this period, or were these norms flouted is one very important question.
Yeah, let me answer to this question. So if you take the previous tender documents and all the annexaries, that what you are reading on the screen, it's same as it is. Because there are some
it's not about whether it's the same as it was it followed is the question,
yeah, but
ma'am.
the quality check fails. But the
was it-
quality check fails.
was it
Definitely they will change that.
See, between Jan to July, Jan to June is 6 months. Now, July to December is another 6 months. What happens between these 6 months? Now, I'm going to check with our team if they can pull out Swastika Das, our reporter. She's down in Tirupati on ground. We'll try and get her on the phone, or we'll try and get the conversation she had with a regular visitor to TTD, to Tirumala Tirupati. And what they have said, that the quality of these laddoos in the recent past has gone down. These laddoos would not go bad for 10-15 days together, but in 3 to 4 days these laddoos were going bad. Now this they say has happened in the recent past. That's what they've said. I'll try and play that out. I'll try and play that. 1 minute. Deepak Reddy.
Let me answer to your question.
One minute. Ma'am, you cannot hog the whole conversation, ma'am. There are other panelists. Let them also speak.
I understand
Let them
but
also
one
speak,
thing,
and then I'll come back to you.
Quality check is coming since centuries.
No, correct.
This is
But
not
was it
happening in
overlooked?
Jagannath
Was
Reddy's
it
thrown away.
overlooked?
We
Was there,
understand that.
did an act
Yeah.
of corruption or
Since
something
centuries
else
it's coming.
lead
Since
for
the
nearly
centuries
1
it's
crore, approximately 1 crore laddoos, 1 crore laddoos to
the
be
tender
made with
document
contaminated
as it
ghee.
is,
Contaminated ghee.
Chandrababu
Sujata
Naidu got-
ji,
and the
you have been
Jagannath Reddy
speaking
got-
and I have asked you.
Yeah.
Now let the others speak, please. Now, Deepak Reddy, how would you want to respond to Jagan Reddy's comments that you are brazenly nothing but politicizing? Why were you sitting on this report? When I say you, Chandrababu Naidu, and also the rest of the TDP, since July, why were you sitting on this report? Were you thinking that the adulteration levels will go up by sitting on it for 3 months?
Anand, before I get to the topic, one or two things I would like to put on record.
Umaji,
and just
coming
give a
to you
little
after
bit
this.
of-
Please be patient.
Yeah,
Thank you.
give a little bit of background information also so that our viewers understand. Earlier, Sai Deepak was talking about the demographics in Andhra Pradesh. I had the privilege to do a Padayatra along with our leader Lokesh ji, and I was with him on the road for quite some time. And I would like to bring this up, and so that the nation takes note of it. That most of the rural areas have seen new masjids and new churches, but I haven't seen any new temples coming up. And roughly, if you do a math, in a lot of areas, it was a breakup between 1/3 temples, 1/3 masjids and 1/3 churches, and the few temples, with another 1/3, were old temples. This is what the demographics are seen in rural Andhra Pradesh. I mean, I would like to bring this up. And a couple of important things. What I would like to raise now is, about 5 years ago, the people from Nandini, this is a press clipping of that.
Yeah.
They clearly told that, if somebody is quoting a price less than this, it doesn't even work out in costing, it will be adulterated. So this was cautioned about 5 years ago. And TTD has actually given out on their own website how the whole process has happened. And today the EO was very clear in explaining what has happened. What has happened is there were several complaints which were received by the Chief Minister, Chandrababu Naidu ji. He called the EO and said, examine all these complaints and see to that the sanctity of the temple is maintained. So then they started getting into the details and people started complaining that the quality of the laddu was not good. Then they went and spoke to the people who were actually doing these laddus. They complained about the quality. Then they put an expert committee. Even they found fault with it. And these 4 consignments which were sent for testing, it was called ghee, but it looked like
the
oil.
report came
These
out
are the
on the
words
23rd
EO.
of July. Chandrababu Naidu Garu had already taken
yeah.
oath. He was already Chief Minister. Why is this tabled or being made public on
He
the
appointed
18th of September?
Anand, I would like to bring it to your notice that anything concerned to YCP, truth is a very big casualty. And they always try to dodge and deviate from the actual problem. Here now, Jagan Mohan Reddy today was telling that because of the... Hang on a minute, let me complete. Jagan Mohan Reddy was telling today, 1 minute please, let me complete.
Are we playing a heckling game
Jagan
here?
Mohan
He
Reddy
didn't interrupt
today
you.
said...
Please allow him to complete.
Yeah, please have the courtesy. The 100-day failure is what we are raising this issue. But when did this thing start off? If you can see the sample collection, it was way back in July, in the first week of July. So we have a clear 70 days since this process has started. So what has happened? When the previous government has given out the contract and the tender was continuing. So once the tenure of that particular thing is over, then you call for new. But when Chandrababu Naidu ji has instructed the EO to go into all the details were gone in and they found fault with this. And immediately there was a show cause notice issued and that particular vendor was blacklisted. The process went on and it was not really got out because it hurts the sentiment of the people. So a thorough investigation had to be done and nobody knows. But an expert committee was formed and they looked into all the details and they actually set right a lot of things. So this is what was not actually come out. But Chandrababu Naidu ji made a casual...
We'd like to see a white paper.
Chandrababu Naidu ji made a casual remark because of the pain he had.
Please don't do this.
Because of the pain he had.
See, what
is surprising is on this issue, the YCP tries to do politics. The fact of the matter is today a good quality ghee is somewhere between 600 to 2,500. If somebody is giving it 320 rupees, isn't it common sense that it would be adulterated?
My point is,
so they are trying to cover up their fault.
My point is,
for
6 months, if you are making 3 lakh laddus per day and you are not even testing it once in 2 weeks, sir, I have a serious problem because anybody and everybody would want to corrupt. I would say, okay, the first 10 days of containers will be pure ghee and after that I will start adulterating because nobody is going to check me for the next 6 months, and by the time the next round of checking comes into place, I will try and again replace. I will try and send back those containers. In between those 180 days, for about 120 days, if I send adulterated ghee, nobody is checking. How can that happen under a state controlled body and a place where 3 lakh laddus are being made every day? What is going on? And you are making the earnings are about 500 crores per annum only on the laddu sales, sir. And you are saying TTD, the world's richest Devasam body, does not have monies to conduct sampling in once in 10 days, once in 15 days, and that too random. Not at a pre-appointed date or a pre-appointed
money, Anand.
No. I'm just saying.
It is the intention of the YSR party. There was
sir,
a lab.
You are playing your brand of politics. They will play their brand of politics. Uma Anandan ji, I am asking a simple. Thank you for your patience. 1 minute. Uma Anandan ji and Vineet ji, I'm coming back to you. I'm just saying, Uma Anandan ji, for Lord Venkateshwara, if there are 3 lakh laddus being made every day, I would want to test each and every item every day, ma'am. Are you saying that they cannot test the items, what's going into this lot on a daily basis? They should do it, if not daily, at least on a weekly basis. No. Randomly, they should check this. They are not doing this. Umaji.
No, see, I agree with you. Not just random, but I think every product that comes, the byproduct which come to make the laddu, every time the new lot comes, that has to be tested. But the underlining thing comes here is that the Hindus should have a free hold on their temples. When you allow the other community, other religious people to set in, you start doubting, the doubting Thomas, and you are asking about the delay. First thing I would like to say, take the example of a Kanchivaram sari. A pure Kanchivaram sari costs nothing less than 8 to 10,000. When I am being offered a Kanchivaram sari for 2,000, is it not just sheer intelligence or sheer this thing to know, doubt about the quality of the product? When I can get a Kanchivaram sari, the same yardstick should be applied here. Are we all fools to believe that we can get pure ghee for 350 rupees? Is it not sure? We are all people who are making use of ghee for our household every day. What would be the cost? Same thing like oil, everything, all food subsidies. Somebody tells they can get gingerly oil for 160 rupees, 200 rupees a kilo. When you know that the raw material is going to cost nothing less than 300, 350. So where is the yardstick for this if you say that you're going to get something, foodstuff for cheap? And as you say, I would like to, there are two things in this. First, I think when you have the other religious people on the board, things like this are happening. I am not saying a Hindu has supplied, yes, but who are the people who are sitting there in power, as power centers in that? They have an axe to grind. So as you say, everything that comes in should be tested. Every time a new lot comes, ghee or besan, anything that comes in, every time a new lot comes in should be tested. And I think TTD cannot wash their hands to say that they don't have this thing once in 6 months they are going to do the testing. No. I think a lot, and it just goes to show that Sanatana Dharma is obviously being destroyed. No covert measures used. It is very obvious.
Umaji, allow me. We are going to stay only with this story till the end of this show. We are not doing anything else. We are dropping everything else. We got Ramana Dikshitalu with us. Ramana Dikshitalu ji, namaste. Thank you very, very much for joining us and for agreeing to speak with us. May I ask you, how do you see this problem currently? What's happened? Did you think that this could happen very soon, or there was some malpractice going on? Did you feel that way? You're the former head priest of the Devasthanam, please.
Om Sri Venkateshaya Namaha. Shall I talk now?
Yes, sir, please.
3 days back, we got a rude shock that the cow ghee, which is being used to prepare the famous Laddoo prasadam and all other prasadams which are not mentioned at all, with cow ghee, and that cow ghee was adulterated with animal fat and plant oils and so many other things, which are all impurities. And this is a very big shock for us because it never happened in the temple. And I was born in the temple and I was brought up in the temple. I know how things have been during the last several decades. The entire village that was then of Tirumala used to be full of aroma of ghee, and the prasadams had been very tasty and like amrit. But now, since last 4 or 5 years, there has been long discussions going on among the devotees that the quality of the laddoos has gone down, the aroma has gone down, the taste has gone down, and the shelf life of the laddoos are also gone down. And we were looking for possible reasons for all those things. And as a priest, when I entered the sanctum and offered the food to the god, I also found the same complaints there. And not only laddoos, the several rice varieties which are being prepared every day in the temple, they also lost all the taste and aroma and even the sanctity also, because it was never like that before.
Did you feel that there was something wrong, sir? Did you try and raise this issue? Did somebody come and tell you? Did you raise this? Did somebody come and complain to you, saying, "Sir, something is wrong"?
Yes, I had been raising this question with the then executive officer and the then chairman of trust board several times. last several years, this 4 or 5 years, I had been meeting them and then telling them that this thing is happening in the prasad and this is not good, because our temple is guided by a manual called Dittam, which
Yes.
is according to Agam Shastra.
Yes.
According to Agam Shastra, the types of prasadams to be prepared and the quantities of prasadams to be prepared to be offered to the god on different times of the day, and on different occasions, on different days of the week, and during festivals. All those things are clearly written in the Dittam.
Yeah.
And the quantity of ingredients, each ingredient going into the preparation of prasadam is also given there. And all these ingredients, they are all certified by the Agam Shastra. So I complained to the officer and the chairman about this, and one more complaint was that the quantities of prasadams prepared also has gone down. They are not according to the Dittam, but they are far less than that, and which literally makes the god starve for want of food, and that is a very bad situation there. And as a priest and entrusted with the work of looking after God's comforts, I am very much disturbed about all these things, and I complained it several times, but nobody took care, and I was doing a lone fighting.
What was the reaction? Because there were allegations. They tried to defame your name. If my memory serves me right, they tried to put allegations on you.
They just hear my complaints and then let it go. That's all. They never took any action against this. But only after the new government took over, the complaints among the devotees increased, and so the government decided to take some action on this. And then they sent the cow ghee, which is the major ingredient of the sweetmeats and the rice varieties, to the lab to be tested, and the results were shocking. And I am so much distressed and so much pained to know that I had been offering the food which has been adulterated with ghee, animal fat and vegetable oils and all those things to the god with my own hands, and it never happened, and it was a very rude shock for me.
What is the mechanism? What should be the punishment that should be given? And how can this entire process be sanctified? Because like you said, even the Lord has been fed adulterated food.
Yes. See, Agam Shastra describes so many varieties of apacharas. They are the sins committed in the temple, and some extraordinary situations also. And then it describes what is the purificatory ritual to be conducted to get rid of that sin. So we have to consult the Agam Shastras and different Agama Pandits from different Vaikans Agama temples in the state and outside the state, and then take a decision on that to get rid of all the sins and apcharas committed.
And those who have committed this act, do you believe this is an act of corruption, or this is an act, or this is a deliberate act? How would you want to label this? There are many who are saying that there were non-Hindus who are part of the board, who are part of running the affairs of TTD, and perhaps that's why this has happened. Would you agree, disagree with such comments?
Yes. I don't know about the antecedents of the board members, but it is a deliberate act, because otherwise it will not go on for years together. And the most striking feature is the Karnataka dairy people who are supplying us pure cow ghee for all these years. They were stopped and they stopped taking supplies from them, and the tenders were given to some local or private dairies who supply the cow ghee, and this is where the corruption entered, and also my sincere advice to the government also, let the officers deputed to work in the temple or the board members and the chairman of the board who will be nominated by the government, they should fundamentally they should have respect to our Hindu culture. They should be Hindus. They should have respect for our ancient traditions, our Sanatan Dharma, and they must have trust in God, and they should be service oriented, because it is not only serving the Lord but also his poor devotees who are visiting almost 70,000 members every day, and to provide them good food and a good stay and good darshan and prasadams. It is also service to God, service to his devotees. So care should be taken to select such people on the board, and the officers, the bureaucrats who are going to work in the temple also.
Should this temple be under state control, or should they be freed? Should actual devotees of Lord Venkateshwara be allowed to run the affairs of the temple? Ramana Dikshitalu.
Yeah, that can be done. That can be done. But my suggestion also is to separate the Agam Shastra and the administration. The Agam Shastra, the rituals and the affairs of God, the system of the hereditary priests and all those things should not be interfered with the administrative setup. And at the same time, the priests will look after only the God's comforts, and they do their own duties in the temples, like they are called kainkaryams, and they will not interfere with the administration. So demarcating the difference between Agam Shastra and administration will be a very comfortable situation in the temple for everybody.
Ramana Dikshitalu, thank you very much for being very candid and putting matters as it is, and your call to say that draw the line between the Agama Shastra, those who are worshipping the God and taking care of the God,
yes,
and those who are administrating the temple. Draw that line, keep that line very, very clear, and make sure that temple administration is being
yes,
done by Hindus. Very
yes,
strong words there.
Yes, sir, I hope that will happen soon, and we will all be peaceful.
We hope so too. Thank you very much for speaking with us, sir. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. Bye.
Uma Anandanji, Vineet Jindalji, your thoughts. I know you've been very patient, but Ramana Dikshitalu making a very clear line, saying that 1, the quality of the laddoos had been going down. 2, he said that this happened ever since the sourcing of ghee stopped from Nandini, and it was then decided they will source it locally via contracts, Umaji. And 3, he says, draw the line between the agamas and the administration. Yes, Uma Anandanji.
Can I?
Yes, please.
I think it's a very, very valid point. Administration is different, and that is what even the HRNC rules says. Administration is different, the agamas are different, and they are only a regulatory authority and not a controlling authority. I think this is what is very, very important. If they start interfering in everything, in the pujas, in the agamas, I think that is where the problem arises, and we have seen clearly that interference in the agamas has brought down the status of all the temples everywhere. Wherever the government has entered, we have seen slowly the degradation in everything, in every aspect. And so I think it is high time we draw the line and continue only, the government should continue only as a regulatory authority,
right,
not to look into each and everything. That is not the job they have to do. And one more thing is, as you people keep telling, but the quality that was coming down was very obvious to every devotee. The laddu quality, the taste was
right,
totally different. The shelf life, as the priest mentioned, was very obvious. Before, it used to stay good even for about 10 days, 20
yes,
days, 25 days. But now, the first 2 days, after that you saw the fungus.
Yes. No,
In laddu, which has never been
I can
there.
I can say it, it's personal experience, ma'am. It's personal experience that laddoos
Yes,
that were procured
that is
got
what
bad
I'm
in
also
3.5 to 4 days, and but in the past you could store it for at least 10 to 12 days, and it was very, very surprising. And in fact, it was surprising when somebody said,
Yes.
as recently as April and May, that a whole lot of laddoos that were being sent from Tirupati to Delhi, that whole lot, at least about 10 boxes of laddoos, had gone bad. They thought something had happened via post. Now on hindsight, you realize that perhaps what was being used to make those laddoos caused this entire problem. Vineet Jindal ji, I've got limited time. I know both Sujata Mahesh and Deepak Reddy want to say something, but Vineet Jindal ji, thank you for your patience. Your thoughts, do you believe that there is merit in what Ramana Dikshitalu said? Clearly, there should be orders that the state should not interfere in the agama, the running of the day-to-day affairs of the Lord and attending to the Lord, and administration should be purely Hindus in Hindu temple.
Yes, definitely, Anandji, and this is a very big question that when the people who has been devotee of Venkateshwara Bhagwan and they are not able to even provide proper puja things and all. So this is really a big question, and my concern is over that. I have received 2-3 calls today. The people are crying. The people are crying because their sentiments are hurt. They have eaten a laddu which is contaminated, which is with the beef and pig tissues. So this is, I already told you that this is a bigger issue, and it is very shocking that we are still waiting for action. There is no action has been taken against the people till now.
But there is a blacklisting that's happened, but there is no arrest that's happened.
Yes,
there is no
Anandji,
criminal punishment, punitive punishment that's happened.
Yes,
Deepak Reddy,
Anandji.
point to note.
Yes, Anandji, as you see that the report was related in July, and now till now there is nothing. Why?
Now, what is it that you're showing, Deepak Reddy? You're taking responsibility for what you're showing.
Yeah. This is one of the member who was a board member. He's a practicing Christian, but he was appointed as a board member. And the former chairman, another cousin of Jagan Mohan Reddy, his daughter's wedding also was done in the Christian way. If you see this, you'll be shocked. This is a halal certificate issued to one of the shortlisted suppliers who was supplying the ghee. And this one is from where? You'll be shocked. From Uttar Pradesh. From where? From Hathras. Can you believe that?
No, but Hathras is more than 1,500 kilometers. Wasn't that the rule?
Can you believe that? I mean, can you believe the violations? And another thing, look at Mr. Jagan Mohan Reddy here.
Well, those are claims being made by the TDP, subject to confirmation and subject to being proven. That's something which I would say. But Deepak Reddy making some very startling allegations. We'll continue on this story. I have to wind up. I've run out of.
When he visited the temple, he's smelling the prasadam, not eating it. Can you believe that? And one last thing, you'll be shocked, Anand, if you see this, and the country is going to be shocked if you hear this. One last thing, look at this.
Contractors or tenders or
that is the chairman, who's Jagan Reddy's uncle and his wife. You know what they are saying? Jagan Reddy Rakshaka Govinda Govinda, right in front of the eyes of Lord Venkateshwara. They are praising Jagan Reddy as a savior. That is the level these people have taken the institution down to. And that is really painful.
Right, now the YSRCP is saying you are making false allegations. We will track this story and we will take this forward. For the moment, I have to wind up. Thank you very much to all our guests. Thank you very much. Stay with us. Short break.